Hi all, my name is Alex Friend and I am an accredited practicing dietitian and sports dietitian with Eat Smart Nutrition. Last year, most of you would have completed some surveys for us, and this helped us to identify some of the areas that would be best for us to focus on in terms of the education. So we just wanted to say a massive thank you. We appreciate all of your patience with completing the surveys, and I guess also all of your patience while we have been putting these packages together for you all. I just wanted to take a little bit of time to highlight what's going to be happening over the next couple of months. So you will be receiving 6 different packages on varying topics, so 6 different topics relevant to sports and performance nutrition. So each one is going to include an information sheet, like a pictorial information sheet, and also a video just like this one. So we are also going to be having a supplement information session coming up for some of the athletes. Dates to be confirmed on that one, as well as a Q&A session for all athletes and your families as well. Again, date to be confirmed. And at that Q&A session, we will cover any questions that you might have had or any of your family members might have had from any of the topics that we've discussed. You can also bring along questions that don't really apply to any of the topics, which is totally fine too. So yeah, if you happen to come up with any questions, or if there's anything that you're not sure of from the information sheets or the videos, please just make note of the questions and bring them along to that session. It'll be sometime in March, I believe. So yeah, stay tuned for those 2 sessions as well. So with all of that being said, let's get into the first topic. You may have already had a chance to read the information sheets by now, and if so, that's great. But if not, that is also fine. You will get hopefully a pretty good idea of what the topic is about just by watching this video too. You will find that there is probably a little bit of different information in the handout versus this video. So please make sure you still read the information sheet too. But this topic is going to be all about carbohydrate and fueling for your training sessions or your games. So first off, let's have a little bit of a brainstorm. You obviously can't share these answers with me, but let's just have a little bit of a think about them. Or you could write them down if you like, but thinking about them is fine as well. So what is energy? How do you know when you have energy? How might you feel when you don't have energy? And the last one, what gives you energy? Some of you might have found those questions easy to answer, and some of you might have found them a little bit harder to think about, and that's okay. But hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding on how we can get energy from our food. So nutrition is really important, obviously, but it does fuel your body. And this is one of the reasons why it is so important. It gives you not only energy for volleyball, which is pretty important, but also energy for life too. It will fuel your muscles, your brain, and a lot of other body processes as well. So things like hormone production and immune function. Also, you just really can't live without it. So one of the easiest ways to explain this is if we think of our bodies as a car. Some of you may not be driving it, but hopefully you have a family member that might, and it will make sense to you. But if we're going to drive that car, we've actually got to fill up the fuel tank first with petrol or diesel or whatever the car is fueled by, in order to make it go. What do we think might happen to that car if the fuel tank runs low or is empty? It's not going to go very far. So yeah, it's probably going to stop. And in all honesty, our bodies work in the same way. So if we let our fuel tank run low and don't give it enough fuel or nutrition, we are likely going to struggle to do the things that we need to do in the day, be it volleyball, work, school, friends, etc. So hopefully by watching this video and reading the information sheet, you're going to have a better understanding of how we can achieve this through your food. So just to sort of get into a little bit more detail, I want to start by explaining how our body uses the energy, and I guess what it might, like in what way it uses it. For some of the younger athletes, this may go over your head, and that is okay. But for the older athletes, hopefully this makes a little bit more sense to you guys. And again, if it doesn't, please bring your questions along or let your coach know, and I can sort of get back to him quickly. If we're thinking about general energy for daily living, that's going to come from carbohydrate and fat. Carbohydrate we'll talk about today. We will have a discussion about fat in an upcoming topic. So yeah, hopefully that will make more sense then as well. If we're thinking about quick energy, so anything up to 20 minutes, end of a high intensity, it's going to come from carbohydrate. And we store those carbohydrate in our blood vessels, liver, and our muscles. Any long duration energy, so over 20 minutes, but at a moderate intensity, that's going to come from stored body fat. However, if we aren't providing our body with enough fuel via nutrition, we do find that the energy is most likely going to come from the breakdown of proteins, which ultimately is going to mean the breakdown of our muscles. And as an athlete, that is not a good thing. It's really, really important to make sure we are fueling adequately so that this doesn't happen, because in order to do the sport and remain strong and recover well, you need that muscle there. So yeah, we need that fuel to be coming from the carbohydrates, and I'm going to talk about how you can get that now. The most important energy source, which you may have already all assumed, is carbohydrate. So think things like bread, rice, pasta, noodles, couscous, potato, crackers, fruit, cereal, sports drinks, etc. So there is a lot of different sources of carbohydrate that we can get from our food. So our brain can't function without carbohydrate, but neither can our muscles. So only a small amount of carbohydrates can be stored in our body at the one time. As I said earlier, it gets stored in our blood, liver, and our muscles. This means as athletes, we need to make sure that we're including a regular intake of carbohydrate throughout the day to make sure our fuel tank is always full. What's going to happen if we don't get enough carbohydrate? This possibly goes without saying, but if we aren't getting enough carbohydrate around training or simply enough throughout the day, we are very likely to have no energy. Everyday life is going to feel hard. You will likely feel tired or fatigued and have a lot of trouble concentrating. In regards to sport, you will likely find that you have poor recovery or sore muscles. You might feel tired early on in training and games. Or you might even have headaches or maybe a little bit of nausea or feel a bit unwell as well. So what should you do? As you would have read on the information sheet, we ideally need to be including a carbohydrate-rich meal or snack before our training sessions, as well as before any games. So this will help to prevent any of the symptoms or consequences that I have just discussed. You would have seen a few options listed on the information sheet, so make sure you have a read through those. But my biggest suggestion would be to use the next couple of weeks as a little bit of trial and error to see what options and timing works best for you. It's going to be a little bit different for everyone. See if solids work better, or maybe liquids might work better. See if making sure you have a main meal a few hours prior to training or games helps, or if the snack in, say, the 1 hour prior to activity works better. If you have any really early sessions, like in the morning, you might need a little bit of a different plan to what you might do for sessions later in the day. And that's also okay. Some people do find that their appetite might be a little bit different at different times throughout the day. So, a pre-training snack that might work for someone before a morning session might not work very well for them before an afternoon session, or vice versa. So yeah, we're going to use the next couple of weeks to hopefully figure out what works best for you though. So my next suggestion would be, once you find a winning solution, stick to it. Some of you may already know what works best for you, but for those who don't, maybe start trying some different things. And in an ideal situation, we would try, these pre-training snacks or meals out before we get to a competition day or a tournament day. It is probably best for us to trial them in training sessions so that when we get to that competition day, we know exactly what's going to work for you, and you're not going to get, any kind of digestive discomfort or a sore tummy or feel unwell, and you'll be really well fueled. Please also know that one of the topics that we have coming up is actually all about nutrition for competition days. So we will have a whole topic dedicated to that, and hopefully you'll find some of that information helpful for that as well. But yeah, just let's try and focus on maybe coming up with what's going to work best for you as a pre-training snack or even maybe a meal. As I said, there are some ideas listed on the information sheet, but just in a bit of quick summary, maybe a few rice cakes with some kind of spread might work for you. Maybe a bit of honey or Vegemite on those rice cakes, maybe some fruit and yogurt you might like. For those who might prefer liquid, you might like to make a smoothie with some milk and a piece of fruit, and blend it together. Or you could even just drink the glass of milk and eat the piece of fruit. You could do toast and spread, or you might like to do muesli bars. So give it a try, see what works best for you. Hopefully you all might feel some differences in your energy levels during training, in the lead up to training, or even just over the day in general. And you might find some differences in your recovery as well after implementing some of these strategies that we've mentioned today. Thanks for watching this video. The next topic is going to be all about protein and recovery from our training sessions and or games. So once you've watched that video, you can kind of put the pre-training and the post-training together, and hopefully your fueling and recovery aspect will be going really, really well over the next few weeks. Okay, so please do remember, if you've got any questions, write them down, bring them along to the Q&A session, and we can discuss and answer them all then. If there is anything super pressing, chat to your coach and they can get in contact with me. But thanks for listening, guys, and I look forward to chatting to you soon.